Today I'm in downtown Fishers, specifically I'm right at the Nickel Plate Amphitheater, and we're going to talk about 3 of the subtle differences that you'll find in Carmel and Fishers, or between the two. They're differences that are pretty hard to parse out unless I think you've spent some serious time there. Some differences between the two that are pretty obvious that I don't even think you'd have to visit Carmel or Fishers to know the difference. Then there'd be differences where you really need to be there to notice those differences, and then some others where I'm not sure you would ever notice the differences unless they were really brought to light. So we're getting into those 3 in this video. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Living in Indianapolis channel. Welcome to everybody that's new, and welcome back to everybody that's been here before. If you have questions at all about Fishers, Carmel, Indianapolis, or any of the surrounding metro, then make sure you reach out any way that you know how. We've had lots of people in the past reach out with questions, of course, about the area, needing help with their move, trying to find their new place here. So if that is you, then reach out any way that you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions. We'll certainly have your back when it comes time for you to make your move anywhere in the Indy Metro. All right, again, I'm in downtown Fishers today. We're gonna talk about those 3 subtle differences that take a little bit of time to figure out between Carmel and Fishers. So let's get into it. All right, so point number 1 between Fishers, Carmel, both of them absolutely similar size. They're both right at 102,000 people, so not much difference there. They both have really big schools. In fact, right now I'm here at Fishers High School, which is huge. But if you go over and look at Carmel's campus, Carmel High School's campus, you'd see it's definitely much bigger. But what's interesting is that in Fishers, in 2006, Fishers was growing so much that they had to open this high school. So it's been open close to 20 years now, not quite there. And you have Hamilton Southeastern High School not that far away. This high school has about 3,700 kids in it currently. Hamilton Southeastern, close to 3,500 or so. And if you look at Carmel High School, it's huge, remember. It's one of the biggest high schools in the entire country, actually, where you have on campus, everybody is there attending school. So we're looking at about 5,500 kids at Carmel. But when you take Hamilton Southeastern and Fishers and combine them, that's about 7,200 kids. So it's pretty obvious why they had to open Fishers High School back in 2006. Fishers was just getting too big, and Hamilton Southeastern High School just couldn't handle it anymore. I'd say Carmel High School at 5,500 is about probably the maximum you're ever going to want to put in a high school. It could be too big, but they do it very well. Fishers does it very well, and they do very well at Hamilton Southeastern as well. But if you look at the total, given the populations are almost identical between the two cities, 7,200 kids at the high school level in Fishers, 5,500 at the high school level in Carmel. Fishers, and once you start living in Fishers, or if you're living in Carmel, you can notice this tiny little difference. Fishers is just marginally younger. The population is marginally younger than what you find in Carmel. And overall, as an entire year progresses, I think you'll notice the activities that happen, culture that happens in each of the cities. Fishers is probably not 100%, but pushing much more towards the family-friendly types of activities. And then over in Carmel, plenty of family-friendly activities, no question about it. I'm not knocking Carmel for not being family-friendly. It's so far from the truth. They're absolutely family-friendly, but it's not pushed probably to the extreme that you see in Fishers. There's a little bit more adult-oriented activities in Carmel. Again, not that you can't find that in Fishers, you certainly can, but you're probably going to find it a little bit more in Carmel. For reason number 2, I am in East Carmel right now. I'm in Prather Park. It used to be River Road Park. Huge park, absolutely gigantic. Really cool place in Carmel, but it's a pretty good example of maybe just a little bit of the difference that you're going to find in Carmel, or kind of the anomaly. Because when you look at Carmel on a map, I think it can be pretty obvious is that Carmel is surrounded. So you have Westfield to the north, you've got Zionsville to the west, you've got Indianapolis to the south, and then Fishers to the east. So when you look at all of those borders, with this exception right here, to the north, 146th Street, very, very busy. And a lot of commercial traffic for sure, but I don't think the traffic's very bad to where it stops up and causes a whole lot of trouble, but traffic moves pretty fast along 146. Lots and lots of commercial, like I said. When you get on the western border, US 421, again, lots of cars, busy road, very commercial. You look at the south end and 96th Street, which is generally the border between Carmel and Indianapolis, busy road, lots of commercial, going down pretty much the entire west to east length of it. But you get here onto this eastern border, you get something like this park, which I said again is huge. There's a playground right over here behind me, but this whole area here, and this is a trail, feels like out in the middle of nowhere. This is really pretty cool. And the reason it's like this here is because the White River is just off to the east, and the White River is really that border between Fishers and Carmel. So when you go north-south along the border here in the eastern part of Carmel, it is not commercial. You get quite a few parks. You have a couple of golf courses, Plum Creek and Prairie View are right here, and then some neighborhoods. So it's a really different feel on this border compared to all the rest of them. But over in Fishers, of course has this same border, but it's on the west side. And you get some parks right along the White River. You get Connor Prairie right along the White River, which is a super, super cool living history museum with an amphitheater during the summer. That is just one of the best things to do in the whole Indianapolis Metro. Go to concerts there at Connor Prairie. It's a border similar to what you find here in Carmel, but you look at the northern border of Fishers, you've got 146th Street, very busy road, very commercial. Noblesville to the north, and then when you look to the south, you also have 96th Street, the border between Fishers and Indianapolis. But as you push further east, the border starts to get a little bit goofy and skewed because you run into Geist Reservoir. And then as you get further east, the border for Fishers is there, but boy, it's really hard to define because the eastern part of Fishers just has a really different look. It's going to be more suburban and actually bordering on rural. And that rural feel is exceptionally different. And I've talked before about West Carmel and East Carmel and how they're different. They absolutely have some differences, but it's going to be the city everywhere you go in East Carmel and West Carmel. Not a bad thing at all. East Carmel is very nice, West Carmel is very nice, it's all very nice, but it's all very much similar. And when you get into Fishers though, there's a West Fishers, there's an East Fishers, definitely. West is older, East is newer, they have a very different look, but as you push further east, it gets really different, much more rural. And so because Fishers has just that difference, it affords a little bit more opportunity to have some slightly different things. Is that good? Could be. Is that bad? Probably not at all. It's just one of those little differences between the two. So let's take a look at some of those little tiny differences when we're talking about maybe a little bit more rural. So it brings me to the last point, and I'm in Geist Park, way east in Fishers right now, and behind me, there's a pretty cool playground and a little picnic area back there too, but you know, nothing crazy unique or special. But the really special part's coming up here, or the really unique part, I should say. So because West and East Fishers are really so different from one another, and I think it takes probably a little time to learn that, but just seeing the two, you can start to pick up on that pretty fast. But it affords Fishers an opportunity to have some really unique, very different parks. Carmel's parks are fantastic. There's no question about that. Fishers parks are fantastic, but I think you get just to sprinkle a little more variety in the parks in Fishers. So this Geist Park, I'm actually coming up here right now, and it's rained recently, not today, but recently, so it's a little bit sloppy on this trail. But right behind me, this is part of Fall Creek. And if you drop a kayak in here, which I saw somebody do that this morning, they were getting their kayak off of their car. You can see their kayak rack on the car. You can come up here, drop a kayak or a canoe if you wanted to, and then just go right up into Geist Reservoir. That's extremely unique. This is one of the only places the public can actually access Geist Reservoir. So you have this, you've got the public boat ramp, and you've got the marina. Outside of that, Geist Reservoir is surrounded by homes, and it's pretty hard to get onto it. So this is one of the really cool places that's free. You can come in here and drop it in, and then of course you have to paddle your way back up to this park whenever you're finished, but that's unique. So you have Geist Park here, you've got Geist Waterfront Park, which is kind of a beach area, and you can get into Geist that way as well, but it does, you know, there's a fee for parking and so on with that. But that's a unique park. And then you have Flat Fork Creek Park, which is a very outdoorsy park. You've got Ritchie Woods as well in Fishers. Just some unique places that take advantage of, not that Ritchie Woods is over this way, it's actually over in the west part of Fishers, but it takes advantage of the outside. And on the east side here, some of the more rural feel that you can actually get in Fishers. Even though it's not rural, it can kind of start getting a mix in that particular feel for it. So there you go, there are 3 subtle differences between Carmel and Fishers, but of course there are more, and it takes a little while to get into figuring out exactly what those are. So if you have questions about Carmel or Fishers, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll catch you in the next one.